There it is.
Got it. Is that my turn?
Yep.
I think it's my turn.
But
All
you're
right.
not recording on Zoom, Tom.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't
thanks.
see the recording light, Tom.
All right, I'm not recording on my own computer, so I'll click on my computer.
Ooh.
But we're being live
Oh.
streamed. We
Okay.
are being live streamed.
That did it.
Sorry about
All
that.
right. I'll call you those three cards and raise you. Oh, we're ready?
Yeah.
We're on. We're going.
Hey, by golly, we're on. Hello, everybody. On my screen, I'm the
Morning.
upper right box. It's the SBAU Astro Hour episode. You ready for this? Number 39. We've done 38 of these shows, and the gentlemen from your Santa Barbara Astronomical Unit have gathered on the screen live from their man caves and computer dens for our South Coast Astronomy Telescope Club's weekly get-together podcast we call the SBAU Astro Hour, numero 39. I can't believe it. From Monday, November 22nd through the 28th, 2021. Just like to get together and talk about space launches and new discoveries in the night sky and some incredible concepts in astrophysics and try to make it understandable to those of you who might be tuned in. You don't happen to understand, and believe me, Baron Ron Heron here, I sometimes don't, but I get it clarified by the gentleman you're about to meet. Let me introduce you to our president, esteemed Jerry Wilson. Dr. Wilson there.
Good
Can we call you
morning.
doctor? I never call you doctor, but you have a PhD. Wife
Yeah.
is Pat Forgy. We welcome back Chuck McPartland, whose wife is Pat, our outreach coordinator. Had to go in for his first Tesla checkup last Monday and didn't join us. I hope it's
Don't forget, Ron, that Pat is our merchandise manager as well.
that's right. And I haven't talked to any of the wives. I hope they're off watching in another room somewhere, gentlemen.
So-
Tom Totten, you want to show us your T-shirt, or is it dirty? Okay, there it is. Oh my God.
Oh, I see.
That is
One of
not-
those motorcycle riders you got to watch out for.
That's not one of the specials you can get in the gift shop at the Museum of Natural History, but they are selling some goodies. Let me introduce you at the bottom of my screen anyway, Tom Whittemore. Who
Morning.
used to teach science out at Westmont College and editor of the newsletter, which is about to go to bed for December, right?
Yep. Yeah, I started working on it the other day.
We all smell that bread in your kitchen.
Got a good
Here.
nose. That was 50% rye this morning.
Is that right?
You got a really good nose.
You eat bread all the time. You make the bread. You should
Oh,
be a
no,
bullet.
I give most of it away. Yeah.
Well, good. I'm on the list for Christmas. Bruce Murdoch is on the screen. Longtime
Hello.
active member. How are you, Bruce? BKM.
Incredible.
I'll ask Bonnie about that, your wife. He's president of the Santa Barbara Theater Organ Society and is out as often as not freezing his gonads off in the. Are you petting a cat there, Chuck?
Yeah, of course.
Always.
Gentlemen, I'm about to get a cat and I had nothing to do with it. A lady is giving me her cat called Squeaky.
Hey, that's one of my cat's names.
Squeaky? Well,
Yeah.
she named it Squeaky. It's a long-haired dark calico, and it'll probably be right up in here in front of the screen, just like yours. But I'm not going to adopt it yet. I'm going to foster that cat. Let's talk about some of our headlines for the hour. We're going to give you three Messier objects: M52, the Scorpion cluster. We're going to talk later about the globular cluster near Pegasus, M15, and the incredible Orion the Hunter. This is the season for the belt, and the nebula is M42. We have a stunning photo of the moon's far side taken by a Chinese spacecraft several years ago to share with you later in the hour. The new ion engines, which are powering, believe it or not, some of our satellites up there. Speaking of satellites, Russia blew one of their own up, and it added about 15,000 little pieces of high-powered bullets, projectiles.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they were thinking, but that was in the news. That was about a week and a half ago. NASA's got a giant moon rocket called Space Launch System, what is it, SLS?
Yeah.
Assembled at Cape Canaveral. It's higher than a football field is long. Good Lord. So it's the new Saturns or eclipses.
100 meters.
What?
Football field's 100 meters long. It's not 100 yards long.
Well, it's 300 feet. No,
Yeah,
it's
that's 100 yards.
Yeah, well, the rocket is 322, and it's going to be a predecessor. What do they call the ones that are, well, unmanned? But is it going to go to the moon? Does anybody know? Is it going to orbit?
One of the test missions is they're going to send it up to orbit the moon.
Yeah.
Really?
A capsule, not the whole rocket.
The first men being sent to the moon in Apollo was 8, wasn't it? Or is that the one that burned up?
No, 8 is the one that orbited the moon and came back.
But they had 7 before that, back in Apollo days.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how many of these suckers are going to go up. And
Hey,
right,
Ron, I have a question about this rocket. Is it going to land its first stage back safely?
No.
No, they haven't developed the moon lander yet. There's contracts out for that.
that's only
No, I'm talking
Elon
about
Musk.
the first stage back on Cape Canaveral for reuse. Are they going to reuse the
No.
first stage on these rockets?
No. A lot of this is
No.
derived from the space shuttle. You can see the solid rocket boosters on the side there in that image.
Yeah.
And
Really?
then I think the main engines are similar to the main engines that were on the shuttle.
Oh, so it's a new expanded
They only
size.
have 2 of them though.
Yeah.
Well, so did the shuttle. It had 2 of the candlesticks on the white side. So they're going to say goodbye to those things and don't recover them. And right here in our county, is it tomorrow? We're going to an asteroid and try to knock it out of its orbit, the DART
Yeah.
launch.
Trying to alter the orbit of an asteroid's moon.
Yeah. How many are out there? Are they countless, just like the rocks themselves that orbit each other?
A fairly large proportion of them are binary. Yeah.
All right, Totten is bringing it up. Here it is. The DART stands for Double Asteroid Redirection Test, and it may save mankind, they say. If any one of those is marked, it's got our Earth's name on it, heading this way to wipe us out like the dinosaurs. So that'll launch from our very spaceport right here in our county tomorrow.
Tomorrow night, I think at 10:20, something like that.
Okay, that would be worth staying up and watching if we don't have an overcast. There it is. Look at that DART.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck,
Uh-huh.
when we were walking Wally, I think it was last Thursday about, I don't know, noontime, there was a whole bunch of rumbles. It sounded like supersonic rumbles. What was that? Do you know?
I don't know. There's a lot of people been asking about them. They've been during the day and twice I've heard them 2 different days. My guess would be, supersonic aircraft out on the Naval Air Test Center, or off Vandenberg.
Yeah.
I heard that and I assumed it was just a sonic boom that was far away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flying saucer.
Yeah. Occasionally we will get also a quarry blast. There's a quarry up by, I don't know, by Orchid or somewhere up there.
Okay.
And there's also one by Kachuma. And occasionally there'll be blasts that show up on the earthquake site, the U.S. Geological Survey earthquake site.
But
Yeah.
the rumble
Yeah,
wasn't
these really sounded like booms, sonic booms.
Yeah.
the rumble.
Oh, it
Did
did.
you guys see my UFO cartoon I sent
Yes.
yesterday?
You want- Tom Totten, would you like to start calling up some of the cartoons? I don't know if I mentioned that one.
The
I
laundry
didn't-
from Nebraska.
Yeah.
This one I didn't understand. Let's read it here. I dare
you.
say there's a woman in Mayfield, Nebraska, who believes in UFOs, and that's because what? They went through her
Her clothesline.
Yeah.
Clothesline.
Clothesline.
Okay. Usually that's swamp gas. They're in the middle of a fog somewhere in Louisiana that those suckers touch down.
That's another old Gary Larson, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a master. He was a master.
Yeah.
I've heard he's coming back. He's doing it digitally now. He does it on like an iPad.
New stuff? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, as long as we're calling them up, can you get serendipity and explain how we got E equals MC? Gray-haired scientist physicist at the blackboard. Who is this? That's
Oh, yeah,
not
he was
him.
one of our outreaches at the Costco Center, whatever.
This looks
Camino
like an
Real?
astronomy day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, we
in
missed
clouds.
those. We could do those still, couldn't we?
Not really.
Yeah, maybe. And it's May 7th, I think, for next year. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask them all.
Tom Totten sitting there with a backwards baseball cap had no idea someday his face would be half covered every day.
Well, look at that. That's,
Often this-
Tom, could you
Sorry.
put that back up? That's
Okay,
the
hold on.
UC2. That's the special mount for people in wheelchairs so that they can get to the eyepiece easily.
Yeah.
You see it's that cantilever mount.
Whose telescope is it?
Big clubs.
It's the
Museum.
clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clubs.
Jim Williams built that.
Yes.
Jim Williams
designed
bought
it.
a fork mount from me a couple of weeks ago for the C8.
So that's stashed away somewhere, and it's just lower than the rest of us who stand by looking.
Well,
Well,
you can-
it leans
go
out.
underneath it.
It leans out to avoid interference with the wheelchair or whatever walker they have or something. So
Yeah, just a short mount doesn't help you because then you still have the wheelchairs, wheels running into it. So
Yeah.
you have to cantilever it out like that.
Yeah. Pretty much all telescopes, you look in the side of them these days, don't you? You never look on the rear end looking forward straight
That
to.
depends on the mounting.
Right,
and the scope.
Yeah.
right.
This
These ones-
scope is it's an SCT or what's that Schmidt
Yeah.
how do you say that? Cassegrain? Schmidt Cassegrain. And you're looking
That's
you're
it.
looking through the back end of it, Ron.
Yeah, and the same with Chuck's telescope out there beyond the sign.
Hmm.
He
No.
attached
The refractor, Pat's refractor is in the background there. Of course, it's attached to a camera probably, but that you would look straight through the back also.
Okay.
It's also
So
got the azimuth mount where you look through the right ascension. I'm sorry, the declination axis of the scope.
Through the bearings, yeah. But we don't have
Yeah,
any of
so
those.
your eyepiece doesn't move around as the scope moves around.
so
We
that's
don't have any of those. They're a little tougher to make.
Right.
Oh yeah, and you got a much bigger obstruction in the optical tube.
Now, when did we do these meetings at Camino Real?
This was Astronomy Day. We used to do Telescope Tuesday there on a certain Tuesday of each month that we would change each year depending on the moon cycle. But they haven't asked us to come back yet. And since we were so busy before the pandemic, with the chance of burning out outreaches, my policy has been that we only go to places if they ask us to come back, although we'll probably have to ask them if we can do Astronomy Day there.
Well, I'd be a little nervous about going there because you got the unwashed public, and only 65% of our population is vaccinated. So that's just a
I
way
think
to
it's
get
higher.
COVID.
It's higher in California. I think it's higher in California.
Yeah, it's almost 70% in Santa Barbara County. Plus, it's outdoors.
Yeah.
We'd probably, it'll be in May. We probably still have to have people masked. It's one thing if we restart the star parties at the museum, everybody will have to be masked, both the volunteers and the public that attends.
We also do it for special occasions like the transit of Mercury or something like that.
Yeah.
But if we have that, it'll be the second Saturday of December, about 3 weeks away.
If we do it at the museum for the public star parties there, yes.
But now these things that was in the picture are daytime, so the only thing you have to look at is really the moon, isn't it?
Now that was a picture was taken in the early evening.
Right.
So
See, the
you-
lights are on, Ron. You can see that the lights were on. So it was early evening.
Yeah,
Was it?
and Astronomy Day is always near first quarter moon. So you'd have the first quarter moon. We also had solar scopes set up. And then in the evening, we would do a star party. Now, I think that was, sometimes we would do, if it corresponded to the second Saturday, we would do a daytime event out at Camino Real Marketplace and then the star party at the museum. Or if Astronomy Day were not on a second Saturday, we would just have the entire event at the Camino Real Marketplace.
Well, it's going to be slow getting things back up and running again, I guess. Our meetings will be last to read.
Yeah, that's indoors.
So,
Yeah.
so Ron, what do you think this red moon is here?
I think it's 2 weeks ago on a Thursday at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I think it was last week.
Yeah.
Was it
It was, a couple of days ago.
was
Yeah.
it last
Yeah,
week?
This is
saw
a
it.
picture by Bruce on 1 o'clock in the morning on last Friday.
Well, is that as
It's
dark as
also
it's
the-
got?
It's also the front page picture on NetHat.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah, this isn't how it looked to your eye because this is through, of course, a long lens showing you details on the moon. But yeah, this is the eclipse. It was near total.
Looks like you got Tycho came out there.
Yeah.
Well, the trick is you underexpose. This is EV -3 because it's easy to bring the stuff out of the shadows. Once you've overexposed and it's saturated, there's no information. You lost it.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't recover it in processing.
No, it's gone.
So was this the south end of the moon? I can't remember. Is that
Yes.
the south?
Yes.
South?
So the Earth was blocking the top of the moon. Okay.
The Earth
Earth
shadow.
shadow.
Yeah.
Well, had it been a full eclipse, would it be pretty dark? Not
Yeah.
orange?
Yeah.
It'd be like the red spot part.
Okay.
Yeah, very coppery.
And
Yeah.
the sky was kind of messy that evening.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
Was that the eclipse we hadn't had in 400 years?
Yes.
600.
Yeah.
Really?
We've had much better ones more recently.
Yeah. We saw
This
the
was just an
onset.
odd partial.
Yeah.
Well, I
Maureen,
thought we had-
saw the onset of this eclipse at around 11:15 roughly. And then by 12:15, the fog came in.
Yeah.
You know?
Same
Yeah,
with
my house stayed clear until just like 1 a.m. and then the fog rolled in. My lens got water on the lens, and my picture of the moon got pretty dark. But I got a similar shot. But yeah, the fog rolled in.
Beats water on the knee, Tom.
Well, about 2 weeks from now, December 4th, there's going to be a solar eclipse across the southern part of the
Yeah,
planet.
Antarctica, right, Chuck?
Yes.
I'm sure we're all going to book a plane and fly down there, right?
Right.
About
And
that.
you usually get lunar eclipses and solar eclipses about 2 weeks apart because it's eclipse
Mhm.
season when the
So-
moon is near its nodes.
Is that right?
Take your warmies.
Yeah.
Okay, can I throw a couple of other quickies at you? Just maybe get some before we get into the main stuff. Where we already a quarter? Yeah, we're past a quarter. The Heinz ketchup made from tomatoes grown in a Mars type of environment. Did you read about that?
No.
No.
Science lab in Florida duplicated the soil that Matt Damon grew tomatoes or potatoes or something. And it was an astrobiology team led by Dr. Andrew Palmer at Florida Tech that came up with actually a couple of good tomatoes grown in soil that had nothing going for it. It was like, and maybe they reduced the atmosphere in the room. I don't know. So I don't want to talk about the little holiday shout out for Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History. We'll do that, I guess, when we reassemble. There it is, the Heinz.
That's pretty good.
You dinged. Well, it remains to be seen. Can we show the Escher cartoon or the illusions before we get into something?
Oh, sure.
Because this guy, Maurits Cornelis Escher, a Dutch graphic artist, does these incredible, I don't know what they're called, illusions, impossibilities of physics,
Yeah.
design. It's
Optical
Optical
illusions
illusions.
mainly.
Where'd my picture go?
he titled it Escher Again, I think, or more Escher. Yeah, Escher Again.
Well, that's
And
just
it gets worse the more you look at it. You go crazy after a while.
It's all
that's-
right.
It's not
Every
there.
component is an impossible component.
Yeah, right.
I read up. Okay. You're not
and
going to
this
get it.
isn't by Escher, but it's after Escher.
Yeah.
It's based on some of his illustrations.
Escher-esque.
Well, I had
Hold on
seen
for a
them.
second.
All right. I had seen them before, but I didn't know his name. I looked him up and
Mhm.
he's passed away, left a family in the Netherlands.
There
He
it
also
is.
did tilings, where he'd have these
Right.
repeating graphic designs that could tile the plane.
All right.
Right.
Check.
He must have
those
liked
things.
ants. He must have loved ants too. So there's a bunch of them with ants crawling up these impossible stairscapes.
Yeah.
That's right. There's the bolt from hell or the nut from it. That's the bolt.
I think they call that a blivet, B-L-I-V-E-T.
Blivet.
I thought a blivet was 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag.
Maybe that too. It's good. I guess it's universal.
Okay.
There was a rocket early on in air defense, in the 50s with jets when they were with nuclear weapons, when they were trying to potentially stop large bomber formations. They made an unguided nuclear rocket called a Genie that you would just, launch in the direction of the bombers, and it would take out a huge crowd of them, and it was called a blivet.
Mm.
He didn't do those hallusions. Do you know what hallusions are? Where you got to look, your eyes have got to look straight through in the distance.
No,
And
that's
something
different.
that's a different.
That's different. Yeah.
Okay. That was a fad about 10, 12 years ago. They were
Yeah.
selling those suckers. remember?
Yeah. I remember in the mid 90s, I would say, I remember a bunch of them. And there was a special technique to view these things in 3D, and I would just cross my eyes. And just-
Yeah, I did too. Evidently my eye spacing is not right for the way they've set them up. And I can't ever get them to come together with, looking at distance. But if I look cross-eyed, bingo, they come right in.
What that
Jerry
flag
has that same problem, right?
Yeah,
Pardon?
yes, yes.
Well, I got it down finally. It took a long time to learn. You just look through them, you know, into the distance. What are we looking at? Escher? Is this?
Yeah,
Oh, this is
it's
his
Escher,
stuff.
yeah.
I'll be
Oh,
damned.
yeah.
Let's get back to astronomy.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Jerry.
All right, where would you like to start, Mr. President? Which Messier object? You name it. 52, the Scorpion cluster, globular number M15, or
Oh,
the
let's
Orion?
look at M15 and see if we can see P's one.
All right,
Okay.
it's
Big
you
iron.
look toward Pegasus, overhead right after sunset this week. M15 is near the western edge of the constellation.
Mhm.
And
That's a
also,
well-placed object this time of year.
there's another
And it,
globular. Wow. I don't
This
know.
is
So where is it, Jerry?
What's that?
Where is P's one? Where is it?
Oh, you can see it real clearly. It's at about 10:30 from the center. You just passed it by.
there.
To the right, up. It's a blue thing, right? Up a little there. That's it.
What is
Okay.
that supposed to be, Jerry?
What's that?
What is that supposed to be?
It's a
That's
planetary.
a planetary nebula. It's the only planetary nebula inside a
Oh, okay.
globular cluster.
Yeah, there's a more famous one in the southeastern sky in the wintertime we often show, right, Chuck? It's in the what you call the Pleiades.
It's not
Oh,
in the
yeah.
Pleiades, but it's in one over near there, either M46 or M48, one of the open clusters.
Yeah.
Is it planetary?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Does it
sounds
have a
right.
name?
The one that's in M46 or M48, no, I'm sure it has a catalog designation, but it doesn't have a common name.
Yeah, it's really spectacular, though.
It's easier than P's one, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So P's one is a bright star in that globular cluster.
No, P's
So-
one is the planetary nebula in the globular cluster.
Okay, and planetary nebula are defined as big gas clouds.
End of life of a star where it barfs off its outer layers. Yeah.
Oh, but that's not a nova.
No.
So do you
No.
think is
No.
that a white dwarf in the center there?
Yeah, it should be, but I don't know if that's the white dwarf or not. But yeah, it's a white dwarf left over in the middle of a planetary nebula. It doesn't have enough power to become a nova. It's a low caliber explosion.
Superb.
Oh, but no, a white dwarf is not also a neutron star, is it?
No.
No.
Okay,
The
but
next
it's
step, if you compress a white dwarf enough, you'll get a neutron star.
but what's the diameter of a white dwarf?
About the size of what? The Earth, maybe.
Earth. Mhm.
And glowing like crazy.
Yeah.
It's stopped fusion and it's just cooling off now. It's just coasting from a heat it had when it was a star.
But it's
Would
very
you say a
compressed.
white dwarf is made up of a lot of carbon?
Often, yes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily have quite that much in it. It could be mostly helium.
Yeah.
It's the core. It's the core of a low mass star.
Yeah, like the sun.
But
Yeah,
this,
temperatures are something like 100,000 kelvins.
Yeah, hugely elevated.
Yeah.
but we're looking inside the globular cluster M15 in this photograph. The whole thing is those are stars.
Yes.
If we lived on a planet around one of those stars, there'd probably be no nighttime because it'd be stars everywhere, wouldn't it?
Be full moon all night. Yeah. There's also a black hole at the core of M15. So this is
Oh.
one of the few globulars we know of that has a black hole at the core. For sure.
So it's kind of like a mini galaxy inside a galaxy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's real easy to find for the public. It's right off Enith, which is the nose star of the of Pegasus. I don't know, Tom, can you pick up a picture of Pegasus, the end of the Pegasus constellation?
Yeah,
The
I'm gonna
horse.
see if I can find it.
Yeah,
in
the star there is called Enith, Enif.
And there's apparently it's visible faintly to the naked eye, this globular cluster, from a really dark site, because there are Arabic stories of a a fly by the nose of the horse.
Yeah. So the picture we just saw of M15 was not taken with an amateur telescope.
Yeah.
No way.
Maybe
Yeah, thanks,
Hubble?
Tom. That's perfect. That's perfect. There it is. There's Zenith.
Mhm.
33,600 light years away.
Pretty far.
And the nebula is called Peas 1. Are there stars in the nebula?
No,
One,
Just one.
it's
Just one.
That left over that we're talking about.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's that's it went away.
What's that?
Oh, I was just going to mention, we were going to talk at some time about star names and things like that. And I just saw Sad Melech.
Sada Malik.
To the
down and
king.
left. There you go.
Yeah, there it is. Sad Melech. That's up near that's up in Aquarius. And it's interesting. You see the water jar, Tom, to the left there. It looks like a Y. So the Arabs saw that as tents. Okay, TENTS is what I'm trying to say.
Tents.
Okay.
Not yurts, but tents.
Yeah, tents, right.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
do you know what the Sad Melech means? Does it have a
Yeah, it's like the lucky stars of the king.
Yeah.
Sad Melech. And
There's
there's a
all
couple
Sad
more
Al's
up there.
good and
The-
Sad- there's
the-
a bunch of Sad Al's, which means lucky ones of.
Exactly.
Huh.
And I think one of the stars, if I'm right, in the little Y there is a Sad Achbia, okay, which means the lucky stars of the tents, TENTS. Again, the Arabs saw that little Y there as tents, okay. And some of that may be associated with, in Islam, you can't draw the human body. That's a possibility. I've heard that stated anyway.
Wow.
So they didn't draw a water carrier.
They wouldn't have had their own Michelangelo among them doing David.
Yeah.
One of the
Or a
notes.
lot of his female.
So what does Kittel Fard means?
What?
What's that, Jerry?
Kittel Fard?
I don't know.
That's
Trev, any?
like Alphard, Fard is definitely part of it. I don't know what Ketel means. You want me to do a quick look up?
Sure.
Huh.
If I can.
Yeah, I didn't know if you guys wanted to go on this route, but it's always fun to look at the, especially the Arabic roots of star names. What they were thinking when they named them.
Well, is there somebody named Peas? And this was the first thing he just,
Sure.
Yeah, it was his first catalog entry.
I guess so.
He's one,
Yep.
yeah.
Wonder how many Peases there are up there.
Pieces, Pisi.
Oh, boy, I'm trying to do a lookup on this. And unfortunately, they use this name in the Star Wars stories.
It's pretty good.
The Peas? Pease?
No, Ketel Fard. Okay,
Oh,
Fard is a contraction of the Arabic name Ketel al-Faras, which means a piece of the horse.
Okay.
FARD.
Be the root of the horse, huh, Chuck?
That makes sense because it's in Equalis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, the little horse, the Equuleus.
We're a bunch of old fards sitting around here talking. Well, interestingly enough, at the end of your talking points, Jerry, you said that long exposure photos are possible in this cluster with your smartphone even.
Who did I did what?
People can use their smartphone if you take your time. What do? You hold it open, hold it next to the lens.
Oh, there's a lot of settings in your cell phone regarding your camera. It can do a lot of things. It can even do time exposures and compensate for a lot of artifacts. But most people aren't aware of that. I saw a video on YouTube where a guy explains, a professional photographer explains how to get all these effects out of their cell phone. It was really an eye-opener. I don't remember how to do any of them, but I was impressed by the number of things and the sophistication of things you can do.
Wow.
And
But
Ron, this would be attaching the cell phone to your telescope, not just pointing it up at the sky.
Yeah.
or holding it up to whatever. It's still called an eyepiece. That's what you look in, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's
Yeah,
on the
I
side.
don't know if holding it by hand, you'd be able to hold it steady enough for a long exposure, though.
When I first started taking pictures with my cell phone, I was doing it by hand, and I would get an acceptable picture about 1 out of every 3 or 4 tries.
Yeah.
So the holding it is definitely not to go.
Well, if you buy a decent, expensive system, it comes with a camera, does it not? All your units, all your
Oh, not
telescopes?
usually.
Really? They don't?
Yeah, cameras are extra.
Jerry, are you going to the Advanced Imaging Conference in San Jose late next May?
Yeah, I registered for it and got a hotel room.
20th through the 24th,
Yeah,
20th
it's the Friday. The's classes on Friday night.
20th and
90 minute
21st.
90-minute labs, and then there's general presentations Saturday and Sunday afternoon, or Sunday morning, and then in the afternoon they have a lottery where they give away donated things from the sponsors. One of the things that one person won last time I was there in 19 was a L-shaped plane wave German equatorial mount, not German, just an L-shaped one. Its retail value was $11,000, and the guy that won it was he was interested in astronomy, but he didn't know if he wanted to get into it, and so he's into it now.
Yeah.
He was in the.
That reminds me, at our astronomy day celebrations, we used to give away a Dobsonian telescope, and the same kid won 2 years in a row. And when he won his second Dobsonian, he was like, "Oh shoot, I was hoping to win something else." You know?
You can't take it
I
back.
remember that. Yeah.
Wow. What did the club spring for that? We go out and buy a Dobsonian every year, or somebody else donate it?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we're going to look forward to your pictures. I'm sure you'll come back with a lot, Mr. President, after
Well,
that.
the cost of that conference, I was looking at it, is $387 to register for that conference.
Right.
That is not, plus you got the hotel rooms, most likely.
My question was going to be, how much time do you spend outside at night and at the bottom of the screen on that?
None. The conference takes pretty much all of your time, but people come from all over the world. Damian Peach is there usually, and Martin Pugh, and Adam Block gives some of his talks, and Tony Hallis is there for 2 guidance. Virtually everybody that's in astro imaging is there.
Is it staged at a university in San Jose?
It's at the San Jose Convention Center.
Oh, the convention center.
And at the Hilton right next door gives a special rate for rooms of $159 a night.
And Ron, it's not an outdoor with your telescopes thing. It's basically a bunch of lectures that you listen to.
Exactly.
Because it's lit up like a Christmas tree in a convention center.
But one of the main things is that all the vendors that are in the business show up there from everywhere in the world and demonstrate their equipment.
Do you suppose representatives of different astronomy clubs like ours are there in force, just from all over the country?
No, they don't. They're not there. But I've met people from every club I can think of.
We lost you.
You really broke up, Jerry.
Okay, there's people individually that are members of clubs all over the world.
Oh,
but I've never seen a group show up as a group and put up a booth.
Yeah, it's kind of a special interest thing for astro imagers, not
Right.
just for, astronomy in general.
but is there a yearly convention without pandemics, of course, of just astronomy clubs like SBAU that people can go
Well,
to?
there used to be RTMC.
Well, that wasn't really astronomy clubs either, but there's Alcon, I think it's called, which is the Astronomical League has a convention, and that's sort of clubs.
And you've never gone to them?
I went to one that was down in Ventura.
Oh, for the whole
I don't think it was one of the better ones. One of the highlights was a wading pool full of beer with a bunch of hoses in it.
As long as nobody was in it also.
Yeah.
Right.
They got drunk and went in face first.
Yeah.
The best of the best when it was in its heyday was RTMC.
Yeah.
Vast numbers of display or vendors and lots of things to buy and use tables and used equipment.
Stellafane in Vermont is kind of like that.
Yeah. The NEAF convention.
One of our telescope workshop guys, Hank Aling, he went to the Stellafane this year. And saw all those odd telescopes people make.
Well,
Actually, Jeremy from the workshop
Mhm.
brought his scope that he made to Stellafane, and I think he got some kind of award.
Yeah,
Well,
I
that
think
brings
that's right, Chuck. Yeah.
Gentlemen, if you don't mind, since you touched on that, hate to change the subject too much, but the exchange of emails I got in on two of our out-of-town members, Dick Beam and Bob Richard, who appear a lot on our regular Tuesday night workshop, the telescope thing. We do the podcast tomorrow night. Bruce Murdoch got involved, and our webmaster, Tom Totten, about a certain 7-page article written by one of these gentlemen. Is that worth congratulations to somebody in our club? Tom?
Dick Beam
Yeah.
read it, right?
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Going
I
beyond
posted it
the-
in our forum, so I put a link to it when I put out the notice for the
Yeah.
meetings today. I put a link to the forum where I posted his paper, 9 pages. I thought it was 7, it was 9 pages, but he explains the area. I don't know, how would you explain this, Jerry? What area is he looking at?
That's the Milky Way.
Wow.
He,
Oh,
he
yeah.
takes all his own pictures with single lens reflex 24 millimeter Rokinon lens, in that case that you're circling up there. Does fantastic work on that, and he does all his own illustrations. It's a good job.
What do they basically call that stretch across the sky? Is it a band?
Milky Way.
I know that, but we're in it.
That's called the area of the Great Rift over there.
Right.
'Cause you see those dark bands going through.
The Great
Yeah.
Rift.
Yeah.
'Cause looking in toward the center, then somewhere along there is the
No.
center.
It's looking towards Cygnus.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I misunderstood what you were showing there.
You know, the summer triangle has Cygnus, the swan at this corner, and Lyra, the harp at this corner, and then Aquila, the eagle down below this corner.
It's
There's an
covering-
arrowhead in the summer triangle, and there's a fox in the
Yeah.
summer triangle as well. But
And that's kind of off in the west now as the sun sets.
Yes.
Okay. So these are his pictures. And
His pictures taken from Paso Robles.
oh, that's where he lives.
Yeah.
And Tom, you run that program. Is he on every week?
Yeah, pretty much.
almost, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, he's
and this could-
incapacitated right now with back problems.
Oh,
Yeah, he's down a little bit. I
The
think this
sciatica?
picture might even be stitched
sciatica.
together. Like he probably took at least three photos to get this much area of the sky, I think.
did either of those guys ever come to meetings? Were they ever here?
Bob Richard used to quite a bit.
Yeah. But he moved to whatever that is near
Arizona.
Police outside of Scottsdale.
Scottsdale. That's it. Yeah.
So Jerry, how did Dick Beam find out about us? Do you know?
I don't know. He maybe just read our website and showed up.
Yeah.
Is my understanding this is what we're looking at is posted online only. You can only read this on the internet,
Yeah.
not in a magazine somewhere.
Hey, Tom, isn't it true he has a more famous brother?
Here it comes. Jim Beam, Jim Beam.
Jim?
Jim Beam, yeah, exactly. No, I think he likes to be called James, I think.
James B. Beam, huh?
Yeah.
I came up with a song we could use if we could. It might be in public domain as our theme, but it comes from the 30s. You guys remember "The Moon Belongs to Everyone"? The
Oh, yeah, I
best
like to
things-
play that. Yeah.
I don't remember that song.
Best things in life are free. There's also something posted I'd like to make you aware of real quick. That you don't have to remove that from the screen, Tom, but you did let us know. Somebody said Dr. Brandt was speaking for the Goleta Library, and he was our guest several years ago about what, orbits, planets,
Exoplanets.
exoplanets.
It was pretty good. It was yesterday at 2 p.m.
Oh, you watched it. Oh,
Mhm.
Well, I didn't watch.
Well, you get to see images of his PowerPoint. That was it. But it was a good presentation, and it's been recorded. And I want to listen to the recording and take notes the next time.
he made the speech right at the Goleta Library.
He may have, but really all you saw was his PowerPoint presentation, and you heard his voice.
Oh, I see. Okay.
There it is.
Finding, weighing, and imaging giant. How in the world? Geez, have we come that far? We got to get that web up there. That's going up in about what, 3 or 4 weeks?
Hopefully.
Boy, they're going to hold their breath for 29 days. Go out to old L2. What's the name of those points? What's the French guy's Lagrange?
Lagrange.
Lagrange.
Lagrange. Let's jump to the backside of the moon. That's a very beautiful.
Well, that was a
picture.
good picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was only what, 6-7 years old.
Not that old, Ron. This is pretty recent mission.
It says here 2014. Well, that's when it was launched. So it's a recent picture, stunning photo of the moon's far side. I thought it was more pockmarked. Maybe it is, and we're just not seeing it.
It's more cratered.
More cratered, yeah.
Yeah.
It's also got very large change in elevation. It's a great big pit or big depression on one side and an equally large mountain, a hill, you wouldn't call it, but where it's pushed out.
Mhm.
What's the big black spot in the middle of that, I wonder?
That's a lava-filled crater. That's the closest to a mare the backside of them could get.
That's the Sea of Moscow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Moscow. Okay, that would be the Chinese Chang'e, CHANG' E5T2.
Yeah. So it's a very different moon side that you face that you look at here. The regolith out there is much thicker and much higher and much more pockmarked. Apparently also for some reason this side of the moon is on average much colder than the other side of the moon.
Really?
They both face the sun the same way. So there's a number of things that are mysterious about the moon.
Well, there's
Also, the core of the moon is not in the middle.
Right.
the core of the moon is not in the middle. What do you mean?
No, it's offset.
It's
That's why
mass
the
of
moon is right. That's why the moon is in the locked orbit around the Earth. Same
Right.
side faces the Earth.
heavy
Well,
side
always.
down.
Yeah.
Are we not seeing any mares on this side of the moon?
There, right
No.
there, that blot in the middle. There are very few mares there, but that's the Mare Moscoviense, the Sea of Moscow.
Have they landed on the far side? A lander
Yes.
without? They do.
And they grew tomatoes.
Or tried.
No, they did. I don't know if they grew them till they ripened, but
That
they
was
grew the
Far
plant.
Side Lander. I don't
Did
think
what?
that was Far Side Lander, Jerry. I think that was the other one that they did on the near side.
No,
I
I
thought
think it was
they
the
did
far
that
side.
on the far side.
It's the Far Side one? Okay, the rover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I once saw the moon superimposed over the Earth, and it just about as wide as the United States, right?
2,160 miles.
Yeah.
That's less than the United States.
So when they lost communication with the Apollo landers, they,
Yeah.
30 minutes, they were gone. Took 30 minutes to go across what we're looking at.
Something like that.
I don't recall the time, but that sounds about right.
Is it about the same speed as going around the Earth, 17,005?
No.
It's
You
not.
don't have to go as fast.
Well, they don't.
No.
And yet they traverse it in half an hour.
Yeah.
Probably the
Okay.
square root of 6 is fast, right? Or
Yeah.
6 squared, I should say.
Hmm.
Well, the moon is 1/6 the Earth's radius, right, or diameter.
Or gravity.
No, one.
Oh, that's the gravity. Okay, yeah, all right.
1/4, Chuck.
1/4. It
1/4
should be the
the
square
size.
root of that.
So we own the mares and they got the rocky side, the cratered side. It's a little like Russia taking over the Arctic Ocean, and they're going to have bases up there long before us, and we'll give China the far side of the moon if we take the side that's facing us.
Well, the first place everybody's going to build is the south pole of the moon, where there's craters that have ice deposits in them.
Oh,
And up on the peaks around the craters, you get sunlight perpetually.
wow.
You put your solar panels in one place and your swimming pools in the other.
Yeah.
I want them to land somewhere when we grew up and saw the Disney pictures depicting the moon with the spiked peaks, you know.
That was popular in science fiction back in the 50s, but the moon is all worn down. It's not, there's no spiky peaks like that.
Is that
It's
right?
all rolling hills.
I'll be
Well,
danged.
well, there's some spiky peaks around the crater rims and things like that, but yeah. I mean,
But not like stalagmites that they showed in
right,
the-
right.
in the
Not spears.
videos. Right.
Well,
But the-
stalagmites require rain.
That's true.
But
Yeah.
that's great.
But the reason it's covered with just dust is simply the strikes from rocks.
Yeah, the pounding.
That's
Oh, I've forgotten how many tons the Earth gains every day from space debris that comes in.
Like 50, I think.
Yeah,
50 tons of dust lands on the Earth every day.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's why the archaeological sites, they have to excavate them. They, over eons, over centuries, they get covered up by the space dust that comes in.
Wow.
Plus the stuff that blows around on the Earth. But
So it's out there and it's striking the space station, but it's too small to do any damage.
They have Kapton shields that they put up, you know, to
Yeah.
catch that stuff.
That's fascinating stuff you put up there, Tom Totten. Doing good.
What's next, Jerry?
So whatever you like.
Corvus, the morning crow. That took my attention. Constellation Corvus, the crow. I can't remember a crow on the inside of the planetarium at the museum, but I guess
Sure, there's
Yeah,
a crow perched on the sea snake on Hydra,
Right.
Okay.
along with Crater's Cup, and it's from the story about Apollo letting the crow go to get some water, and the crow drinks it or something and comes back and says, "Oh, well, there wasn't much water," and Apollo knew he was lying, and he put both him and the cup up there.
Uh-huh.
So you can see the asterism there outlined with 5 stars, alpha through gamma, delta, beta, epsilon. Then in an obvious crow.
Yeah. The Polynesians say it's a mast and a sail, which I like.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks like that.
That's supposed to be a box. It says a boxy shape.
Yep.
well, I believe, isn't delta and epsilon the tips of his wing?
Something
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
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 You'll see drawings where alpha is his beak and he's bending down, you know, all kinds of interpretations.
But the stars are delta, gamma, epsilon, and beta Corvi.
Yeah.
That's the 4, along with, let's see, curiously, the alpha star is fainter, magnitude 4, sits 2 degrees south of epsilon, which is not the alpha star. Is alpha supposed to be the brightest?
Yeah. Usually.
Often, yeah.
Although it looks like beta is bigger this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The brightest star in a constellation is sometimes called the Lucida.
Yeah.
The Lucida.
It's not necessarily designated alpha.
It
That's
has
right.
the most loose.
Well, is it Algorab up there?
Algorab is there, yes.
Mhm.
Leads you to the brightest star in Virgo over Corvus constellation, offers up to
Mhm.
5 NGC galaxies. We're looking at galaxies in here too.
A lot of galaxies there, yes.
This is near Virgo, and that's like downtown Virgo globular.
Right.
Yeah, everywhere.
And 2 double stars there.
Doubles meaning binaries?
Uh, Not necessarily, but these, I believe they are binaries in this case.
What else would a double star be but a binary? How else can you be a
Oh,
double?
binary means they're gravitationally connected.
Right.
Whereas double just means they look like they're close to each other.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But they might be.
one of the more beautiful galaxies in the sky is in Corvus, 104. Let's see, 104, the sombrero.
Yeah.
Very pretty.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
Virgo, and is that NGC 4783 there? I don't know the
It
NGC.
could be, Chuck. Yeah, there's a couple of stars in the lower part of the crow that point to it.
Yeah.
And there's a trick you can use if you have a finder on your telescope. The finder will show you these little, it's a quartet of stars that looks like an arrowhead and it points right to 104. I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys ever use, yeah, okay, so you've used that, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that little asterism is quite a help when you're hunting for it.
Mhm.
I always have trouble with them with 104 because I don't get a good bright tracking star, guide star near it. As I recall, that's kind of in its own space there.
Yeah, I had a breathtaking view of the sombrero through a 61-inch in Tucson. It was just amazing. Up in the Catalina Mountains.
Yeah, you wouldn't have trouble finding a guide star there.
We also imaged it, yeah.
But on this design we're watching right now, on this portrayal, NGC means New General Catalog, and those are galaxies, right?
Yes.
What
Yeah,
does ADS mean?
Isn't the sombrero? So I don't know why it's not shown on here.
Right, yeah, 104 is fairly bright.
Sombrero is NDC 104.
No,
Yeah.
it's
No, no.
Messier.
No,
Messier.
it's M104.
Oh, okay.
ADS stands for Atkins Double Star Catalog.
Okay.
Is the sombrero one of the galaxies we see edge on, and it looks like a hat from Mexico?
yes, exactly.
Yes, yes. You see the dust lane that sort of defines the sombrero hat.
Okay, the M104 is actually in Virgo, so it's just outside.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Why
I knew
does
it. Close.
why does it say crater in the bottom right?
That's
It's a
called
cup.
cup.
That's the Latin word for a cup, crater.
Looks like crater to me.
Well, in Latin, it's crater.
It's Latin for cup, and the craters look like they're cup shaped. That's why.
Oh, I see. Okay. What does ADS mean? Is
Oh,
that
there
a-
you go. Thanks, Tom. Thanks.
Oh, Tom, you're awesome.
Right on the edge of Virgo and Corvus for M104.
Yeah, so I was halfway there.
No, you're at least 9/10 of the way there.
Yeah, yeah. Sure is a pretty galaxy.
But the reason Jerry, our president, headlined this Corvus the Morning Crow is it's easy to spot early in the morning. The box
Yeah,
shape.
you got to get up early to see it. It'll be that part of the sky, which is rich in galaxies, like the Virgo cluster, like Chuck pointed out. That will be overhead in a convenient part of the evening around February or March.
Right.
Hey,
So it's rising early now.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
so right now, I happen to be up at these crazy times. At 4 a.m, I can see Arcturus rise in the northeast, and also Spica is just to the south of that. And so all of these things are early morning things now. And like Jerry said, maybe February they'd be top of the sky.
More reasonable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They had a lot of images of 104. I just saw for a second there.
Yeah. And May is like the prime galaxy hunting time for these guys
Yeah.
because the plane of the Milky Way goes around our horizon then. So you're looking up out of it and you can see all these galaxies.
A good point.
I have a comment from Jim Williams. He's watching and he's on the chat. He says, illustrator Chesley Bonestall, who was active in the 1950s,
Right.
said he should have figured out from the shadows that the peaks weren't that pointed. What is he talking about there?
The moon picture.
Famous.
Moon.
Go ahead, Chuck.
He's talking about the moon pictures with all the pointy mountains and stuff, spiky
Yeah.
mountains.
Chesley Bonestell was a painter, and he
Yes.
favored doing space themes. And he did for various planets. His work is in a lot of Disney stuff.
Yep.
And he has really good books. I loved his pictures when I was a kid in school in the 50s.
Mhm.
But he got details of everything wrong, but the overall concept right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he would use the details that were, at the time cutting edge.
Yeah. Yeah, these are paintings of his that Tom is showing now.
There you go. There's my spike peaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, the shadows. I remember the shadows are spectacular.
Didn't von Braun put side fins on all his rockets? When did we lose side fins?
I guess we got them back now.
Yeah.
Elon Musk.
That's true. We did.
Well, he uses those waffle paddles too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time we're inside the planetarium for one of your incredible light shows, gentlemen, I want you to point out Corvus the Morning Crow for me because that's fascinating.
It's just a morning crow right now, Ron. It's Corvus the Crow.
It's part, well, it's a whole constellation.
Yes, the crow.
Yeah.
Mhm. Shall we talk ion engines before we get out of here, gentlemen? Sort of looks like one. You brought it up, Jerry, and it's fascinating. Orbiting satellites are using electricity to ionize and push particles of gas, and it has been xenon, Xenon, a rare gas. Iodine, or I guess it's iodine, right? Is that a gas?
Yeah, the new engines that they're advertising here or discussing use iodine instead of xenon. Xenon's an inert gas, and you have to compress it in bottles and keep it cold to compress it. Iodine now can be stored as a solid. It's by a company called Thrust Me.
Yep, trust me.
They developed this engine, and one is now flying. It's being tested in space.
Really?
So, Yeah, but we use the iodine engines have not powered any spacecraft yet, but the idea of ion engines has been developed by Hughes Research Labs since the late 50s. And they've been used on a number of our missions, the Xenon ones, the Dawn, no, not Dawn, but the one that goes to, went to Ceres and Vega.
That's right. I think it was the Dawn mission. Yeah.
Was it
Or,
the
or,
Dawn?
or was it called New Dawn? I'm not sure.
New Horizon.
New
No,
Horizon.
New Horizon's one went to Pluto. It's the Dawn mission. Yeah. And that one. They achieve higher speeds, they're more efficient, but they burn longer because they don't give you a high specific impulse. They don't give you a real snap when you take off. They're just steady over a long period of time. The idea here, as you see in the schematic, there's a tank of some kind of source of atoms. They're sent into a chamber, and then they're hit with an electron and ionized. And then the ion, which is now positive, it's the thing on the right that's purple there. That one then gets right there. That one gets attracted by a cathode, which is the big ring on the outside, and accelerated by the electric field. And then it's thrown out the back. And it's not very heavy like the exhaust gases of water coming out of a hydrogen oxygen burn engine, but it comes out very fast, and that makes up for that. So you get a measurable ion acceleration from that, or boost, pushback, third law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
And it's there almost forever.
Yeah, the fuel is used very slowly.
Really? Yeah, it takes its time. The ion is a full atom, or is it a radiation?
No, the ion is a full atom that has been hit with an electron, and it's ionized by, and you see the one there for ion, for the iodine. You see the electron hits and it knocks off 2 electrons. So the iodine, remaining iodine ion has a charge of +2. And then it's attracted to the negative cathode, which is outside the spacecraft. But it's going so fast now that you can't, it rips right past it, and the beam spreads out and pushes along the spacecraft.
Yeah, you can have that, Ron, as not the full atom, but as the nucleus being, because it has
It's remaining, yeah.
being accelerated.
Yeah.
The electrons have been stripped from it.
Some
Hey,
of them.
Jerry, what is the antenna? What is that?
That's a way of
It's the
putting
magnetic field
energy,
that
it's a way of putting energy into the chamber that accelerates the electrons to hit the iodine gas.
Wow. And this is called ionization, and it's not a burning, it's not oxidation, it's not fission, it's not fusion. It's a totally new way of repelling, but we use it up. It's going to be gone after a while, right?
So we use it very slowly. It's the most fuel efficient way you can go.
Wow. And the problem
You get to very, very high speeds eventually. With a rocket, you have short burns and you have to get it up and then you coast. With this one, there's no coasting stage. You're just continually accelerating.
Huh.
But it's a small acceleration, but it's like the greatest single invention of Western civilization, compound interest.
Yeah.
It just accumulates, it's cumulative as you go along. And pretty soon it builds up to fantastic speeds.
yeah, it's got a high ISP, which is the specific impulse.
Right.
Where do they get it? Do they mine it?
No, iodine, you can get it in your
Ocean.
local pharmacy.
You probably get it a lot from seawater.
Yes.
Oh, well, it's probably more affordable than xenon because I put it on every cut I get. I put iodine.
Bingo, that's the key point here. The only
It's
downside.
also heavier.
Yeah, so you get more impulse. The only downside to it is that the iodine reaction or iodine ion is reactive with metals. And so you have to coat the inside of your chambers with ceramic.
Really?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't work. Ceramic.
Oh, it would work, but it wouldn't work for long. It would erode the inside of the metal.
that silicon?
Oh, no, ceramic is like clay that's been fired.
Oh, okay.
Silicon dioxide is one, but
Yeah,
Fascinating. I think we'll visit this subject again, gentlemen, and we've run out of time.
you're going to see them more often, ion engines and stuff.
I'll bet. Yeah. Save some money here and there. Doggone. Well, number 39 of the Santa Barbara Astro Hour, AU, SBAU, is gone and done, and we're all going to head into the season to be merry and look forward to our sourdough breads from the Whittemore household. I certainly will, and we'll see you guys. Take care of yourselves, your wives, wear your mask if you have to, and we'll do this again in a week. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Good. Don't forget to check us out at sbau.org.
That's right, and listen tomorrow night to the telescope workshop. The rest of you,
That's right.
thank you. We'll take care. We'll see
Bye.
you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye. Good night. Good day.
sound Australian. Good day.
Hey, good day. No worries.